With the 2025 college football season for the West Virginia Mountaineers pretty much a wash at this point, most fans are already starting to talk about the future. What can this coaching staff and the program do to get better in 2026? Well, in this episode of Couz's Corner, I'm going to give you my top 5 list of things that Rich Rodriguez and this staff need to do to make sure this program is better in 2026. I'm going to give you my list, and we'll talk about that right after this. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis around the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. If you want objective analysis from a fan's point of view, this is the channel for you. Let's go ahead and dive into the show. What can West Virginia do in the offseason to improve after what is looking to be a disastrous 2025 opening season of the Rich Rod 2.0 era? Right now, the team sits at 2 wins, 5 losses, with no games on the schedule that look to be winnable, at least the way the team's been playing as of late. So it looks like we're headed for a 2-10 or maybe 3-9 season, more than likely. So which means what? They better make sure it don't happen again in 2026. In order to prevent that, I've developed a list of priorities that I think they need to tackle in the offseason. Priority number 1, and this is no secret, and I think most of you will agree. Speaking of that, by the way, let me know in the comments, what are your highest priorities that this team needs to address in the offseason between now and next season? But my first priority is you've got to get that offensive line fixed. That is where there are a lot of struggles on this football team, a lot of weaknesses, but I think number 1, and it's you can look at PFF grades, you can look at with your eyes, and the points being put up, all of these things, the injuries I think are even part of this, and you can see that this offensive line is in a bad spot. Now, is every individual member of that O-line playing bad? I don't think so, but the unit as a whole needs to be fixed. I think it's fair to look at the coaching. The line doesn't seem to be getting better throughout the season. To me, that's a coaching issue. You know, most of the assistant coaches on this staff, I think with the exception of Zach Alley, are all working on 1-year contracts. Do you not renew the contract for Jack Bicknell at the end of the season? Do you go out and find a new offensive line coach? Maybe you do, which I'm actually planning a whole new video on that as well. So stay tuned for that. You also have to make sure that the linemen you have that you think will help you, you need to retain those guys, like a Nick Cray and a Landon Livingston, who have started this year and played okay. They've not been terrific, but they've been okay, especially Nick Cray, who's only a sophomore and who has arguably been your most consistent lineman. You need to keep those guys because you don't want to replace all 5 of your offensive linemen again in 2026. So can you at least retain your top 2 or 3 guys on that O-line that will be back? Because you're losing Crawford, you're losing McConaughey, and you're losing Walter Youngbear off the line this year. So can you keep Cray? Can you keep Livingston and some of the core backups that you think can help this team going forward? Whether that's a Nisosa, whether it's an Agbo, whether it's a Xavier Bosley, whether it's, Cooper Young, who's been injured, whoever it may be, try to keep those guys in the fray along with some of your incoming recruits that you have coming in, like Camden Goforth and so on. Robbie Martin's another one. Do you keep him around? If you think they can help you, you've got to retain them. You've got to spend the money to retain them. And then you have to go out and add some guys in the portal. And hopefully, West Virginia's got an extra $3 to $5 million that they did not spend for this season in their rev share money. They can spend that money in this upcoming portal cycle. Maybe they go out and grab a really, really good offensive tackle to replace Tykeus Crawford. Maybe they grab a good guard. Maybe they go out and grab 2 stud offensive linemen in the portal. Whatever it is, they need to try to fix that position, and there are multiple things they need to do in order to do that. You've got to spend the money wisely, but I think it all starts up front. The second position I think you may have to spend some money in the offseason is the obvious, the quarterback position. Figure out that position. Do you move forward with the current guys on the roster? It's been reported that Nico is likely going to transfer at the end of the year. Jalen Henderson, although he's considered a redshirt senior, he may have another year of eligibility remaining. If he doesn't play any more games, he might be eligible for another waiver or a waiver to get an extra year because of his just his past, his history. I'm not going to go into that, but I think he's missed multiple seasons due to injury. He might be able to get a medical red shirt, something along those lines. But the point being, he may have another year available. Do you want him to stick around? I think you need to try to retain Khalil Wilkins and Scotty Fox if they both want to stay. However, I think you also need to go out into the portal and try to grab at least one more quarterback, maybe two. If there's I'm not saying you go out and break the bank and spend all your money on a quarterback because you have so many other issues. But if there's a can't miss quarterback in the portal, like we thought we had in JT Daniels in 2022, I think you go out and you grab that guy. Otherwise, you may just go out and grab one or two solid depth pieces like they kind of did this past year and then build around them with solid O-line play, solid running backs, solid receivers, and whatnot. I trust Rich Rod in his quarterback evaluations. We've seen in the past he knows how to coach quarterbacks, and I think he knows how to recruit quarterbacks. So, but whatever it is, they've got to get that fixed. I've seen some fans say that they feel like Khalil Wilkins or Scotty Fox is the answer. They just need more help. Maybe that's the case. And again, if you see a can't miss guy, you spend the money and go get him. But unless he's a can't miss guy, and a guy who you know is, like an elite 5-star guy, if he's not an elite 5-star guy, you don't want to spend all your money on a quarterback, in my opinion. You develop the guys you have and put pieces around them. Now, number 3, you build the defensive line. We talked about the offensive. Defensive line has not been quite as bad, but they have had their struggles as well. They've struggled to get us pressure on the quarterback the last few games. Their sack totals have dropped. Their pressure totals have dropped. They're not stopping the run as well as they were earlier in the season. Not that this is the weakest point of the team. It's not. But they're losing a lot of guys. You're losing Eddie V. You're losing Eddie Kelly. You're losing Hammond Russell, I believe. Can you retain guys like Asani Redwood? Can you retain guys like Nate Gabriel, Corey McIntyre Jr.? You need to try to retain those guys if you can. Also, you go to the portal, you add some really good defensive linemen, maybe some guys with a little more athleticism than what you have now, maybe some guys, especially on the interior, with a little more size than what you have now. You've got to be able to plug up those running lanes, those gaps, and you've got to get more pressure on the quarterback. You do that with good defensive tackle and good defensive end play, along with your bandit positions, which they also need to go out and add. And speaking of bandits, you've got to retain Curtis Jones Jr. That young man is a superstar, in my opinion, at least has superstar potential written all over him, and you have got to retain. He in my opinion, he might be your priority on the defensive side of the football if you're Zach Alley, Rich Rod, and this staff. Keep Curtis Jones. That's where your money should be spent first and foremost, and in addition to going and getting some guys out of the portal. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code COUZ. That's code COUZ to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Fourth priority for me, the secondary. You also have to rebuild that secondary. You're losing a ton of guys. Michael Couz, Jason Chambers, Jordan Scruggs, Jordan Walker. I think all those guys are seniors. Justin Harrington's a senior. I think Darian Lewis is a senior. You're going to be replacing the majority of your secondary. again for like the third or fourth season in a row at West Virginia. Now, you do have a couple of guys you might want to retain, like Nick Taylor, like Keyshawn Robinson. Credit to Mike Couz and Chris Anderson for mentioning him in their show earlier. Might be a few other guys. Chris Filippo at safety. You may want to retain him. Guys who have bright futures in this program. You try to retain them. You probably won't have to break the bank to do so. And then you go out and you build around those guys in the transfer portal. Hopefully you find another Fred Perry-like guy. Or maybe you already have that guy on the roster. Maybe Filippo is your guy. But you go out and you add around them. You try to find another lockdown corner like you thought you were getting in Michael Couz. Can you go out and get some solid defensive backs in the portal? You're going to have to because you're losing most of them from this year's team. And then fifth and final area I'm adding or making a priority is the wide receiver room. You have, to me, your number one priority on the offensive side of the ball is retaining, as far as retention. Maybe outside of Nick Cray, I think I agree with Mike Cazaza that might be the number one guy you want to keep. But outside of that, I think Cam Vaughn, as far as skill position, retaining Cam Vaughn to me is your priority. Cam Vaughn, there's been some rumblings that he's not happy. I think he's even put a few things out on social media, potentially kind of hinting that he's not been happy. They've not been able to get him the football. I think Jaden Bray being injured has really hurt that because teams can double team him now, and there's not a big threat on the other side of the football. If you can talk to Cam Vaughn and say, listen, we're going to go out and spend money to get you a complimentary piece on the other side, another guy who has deep threat potential. That way they can't focus all the attention on you, and you go do that. You go get another guy who can play opposite of Cam Vaughn, take some of the pressure off of him, like Jaden Bray could have done had he not gotten injured. And then you spend the money to retain Vaughn. And to me, and you've got Cyrus Traw coming back. You've got, you maybe try to keep Rodney Gallagher in the fold. But you have to go add 2 or 3 other receivers as well to build your depth in that room. But you definitely need to go out, in my opinion, and get at least one more deep threat receiver to complement Cam Vaughn on the other side of the field and keep defenses honest. Those are my 5 biggest priorities for this upcoming 2026 West Virginia College Football. I know the 25 season's not over, but this is something that's been on my mind, and fans are already talking about next year. I think it's fair to do so because this season is not going to be a good one. That's already pretty much been decided. This team is not winning. You'd have to win what? 4 your next 5 to be bowl eligible? That's not happening, right? This team's not going to make a bowl game. They may not win another game. So there's pretty much going to be nowhere to go but up at this point. So if you take care of these 5 priorities, and look, there's other positions that need, the linebacker room needs depth added. The running back room is going to need depth added. So every position room needs depth added on this team in the offseason because of the numbers they're losing simply to graduation. So, they're going to have to get guys at every spot, but these, in my opinion, are your key spots that you need to focus on. Assuming Jaheim comes back, assuming Sincere Bowers comes back, assuming Dior Hubbard comes back, I like the core of guys they have in the running back room. Now, you'd like to go out and get one more big back to complement Jaheim White, somebody like you had with CJ, somebody like you were planning to have with Ty Edwards before he went down with an injury. So you may go out and get a big back in the portal, and then you keep Dior, you keep Sincere, and you keep Jaheim and maybe even Clay Ash in the fold and build around those guys. And then you got more money to spend at receiver and quarterback and offensive line on the offensive side of the football. And you fill in your defensive needs as well. But I want to hear in the comments section, what are your priority items for this offseason for this West Virginia Mountaineer team? Let me know in the comments section. Want to give a quick shout out to my paid VIP member, random paid VIP members of this episode. They are Lonnie Johansson. Thank you, Lonnie, for rejoining the channel as a VIP member. We have Earl Carr, WVU Fan 13, Okie King, and Todd Biela. Thank you all for being paid VIP members. You can also join that club for either $4.99 a month, where you get access to random shout-outs, first priority in live streams, and you get early access to some videos. Now, if you're a $2.99 level member, you get all of that except the early access to videos. So if you want to be a paid member today, it's a very easy way to support what I'm doing here on the channel, helping me keep the lights on and showing your appreciation for the content I bring you each day. You can also help me for free by hitting the thumbs up button, by dropping the comment below, by hyping this video. If you're watching on mobile device, you can hype it up. You get 3 of those a week. Please use them wisely, but I would appreciate if you'd use one of them on me. It will really help me grow. And as a thank you for getting me to 10,000 subscribers, which I'm inching closer and closer to, I am partnering with another YouTube channel called Mountain Buck. It's a hunting channel. If you are a hunter, you need to go check it out. But if you subscribe to Couz's Corner and Mountain Buck, and you leave a comment on a specific video, which I'll leave a link to down below in the comments, go watch that short video, comment under that video, subscribe here, and subscribe to Mountain Buck if you haven't already, and we will put you in a drawing to win 2 tickets to this weekend's game between West Virginia and TCU, courtesy of Mountain Buck. He's unable to attend the game, so he has decided to give away those tickets, and he's partnering with me to do that. So comment on that video that I mentioned, link down below, subscribe to my channel, and subscribe to Mountain Buck's channel to be eligible to win. And the drawing will be held live Thursday evening at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the channel. So take advantage of that. Also want to remind you that I do call-ins. Now, these are not live call-ins necessarily, but you can call and leave me a voicemail. If you want to vent about the season, if you want to ask me a question about this team or college football in general, whatever, leave your question or your comment on my voicemail at 304-712-9347. Again, 304-712-9347. Leave your name and where you're calling from, and I will respond to the best ones on a show. And obviously, if you are a paid VIP member, you will get first priority in those call-ins. I want to give another shout out to my sponsors, DraftKings Sportsbook and the one above me here, Appalachia Digital. Thank them for designing the website over at WVSportsChat.com. They can also design you a site. So go to AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz. Let them know I sent you. Thanks to them for helping us keep the lights on. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you're listening on podcasts. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. God bless you, and Q Country Roads.